Let me tell you, Steph, all of this will come back to bite them. All of this will be exposed in discovery, and they're only digging their own grave deeper and deeper by playing these stupid, unconstitutional games. Good morning, Steph.
Wow. Where do we start today? So, by the way, can I just say, can I start with this? This is to Jessica Tarloff's point about, the actual legal, background in the Garcia case. So Trump posted a photo of himself with the seemingly digitally altered image of the left hand of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. It says MS-13 is spelled out across his knuckles. I mean, first of all, not just how despicable this is, but this is like the White House is trying to get involved. I mean, they did that thing where they corrected the New York Times headline. Can't that be used against them in terms of intent?
Yeah, absolutely. All of that will make a showing in these court cases. But Steph, here's the thing. I don't say this flippantly. It doesn't really matter if Abrego Garcia was or was not affiliated with MS-13. I prosecuted people who were accused of committing murder for 22 years. And so what I didn't do is say, well, they're bad guys. They committed murder. Therefore, they don't get their due process rights. This whole thing is a distraction. What we know is that Garcia has never been indicted for anything, convicted of anything, not here, not in El Salvador. So all of this is a sideshow, because whether or not he has gang affiliation, he is entitled to his due process rights, and the administration deprived him of those constitutional rights.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about Supreme Court temporarily blocked the Trump administration early Saturday from deporting another group of Venezuelan migrants accused of being gang members. They write the government is directed not to remove any member of the putative class of detainees from the United States until further order of this court. Of course, Thomas and Alito dissented, but talk about what this Supreme Court order means.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And what we didn't know at the time, that ruling was being issued at 1 a.m. on Saturday, is that according to NBC News reporting, as bolstered by videotapes, they were taking Venezuelans out of the detention facility in Texas, stuffing them onto buses and heading out to the Abilene airport. And it was only when there was judicial intervention, first by Judge Boasberg, insisting that a DOJ lawyer make a dang call and tell me what's going on out there. And then ultimately by the Supreme Court, you know what those buses did? They went past the airport exit, they turned around, and they headed back to the detention facility. So, of course, this had to be done to stop what sure looked like additional constitutional violations by the Trump administration.
Well, you can't assume the Trump administration is doing anything in good faith. I mean, you tweeted about the other judge. Judge finds Trump administration has done nothing to bring Garcia back, moves toward contempt. I mean, this story, this reporting, Glenn, I'm not a lawyer, but all this seems illegal. Venezuelan migrant, one was instructed to sign a removal waiver in English, even though he speaks only Spanish. When he refused to sign, immigration officers told him the waiver was coming from the president and that he will be deported even if he didn't sign it. Another 19-year-old known as YSM was told that a photograph of him on Facebook showing him in the presence of another person holding a gun proved he was a member of this gang. According to his lawyer, he informed the agents that the gun was a water pistol. I mean, one of the tattoos was an autism awareness tattoo for his younger brother. I mean, this is just egregious, isn't it? I mean,
and one was reportedly a misinterpretation of a soccer team tattoo, right? So this is the Trump administration playing unconstitutional games. So like, oh, we have to give you notice. We'll give it to you in English, even though you can't read English. And we're going to say that satisfies our constitutional obligation to give you notice. Let me tell you, Steph, all of this will come back to bite them. All of this will be exposed in discovery, and they're only digging their own grave deeper and deeper by playing these stupid unconstitutional games.
By the way, layers of illegal here. David says Senator Chris Van Hollen said Congress didn't authorize the $15 million Trump is spending to ship people to a prison in El Salvador. And again, I keep making the point, Glenn, it not only it's not appropriated by Congress, it's not a prison. Nobody there has even been charged with anything, let alone convicted of anything. That is what you call an internment camp or a concentration camp, isn't it?
Yeah, we actually call it false imprisonment, which is a variation on kidnapping, because we sent them there. We said detain them, and we're paying to have them imprisoned there. I mean, you know, you might as well violate all of the rights in the Bill of Rights.
So what happens next with the Supreme Court ruling?
So yeah, it's anybody's guess. I mean, I think this thing will continue to work its way. Now that there is a stop to these deportations, it will continue to work its way through the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is where it is right now, and probably head right back up to the Supreme Court. But I'm beginning to feel like the tide is turning, Steph, when you have judges like Reagan appointees, Judge Harvey Wilkinson, saying things like, if the Trump administration is allowed to do this to immigrants today, what's to say they're not going to do it to U.S. citizens tomorrow and then their political opponents? And plus, he said the way they're trying to interpret the word facilitate, he said, quote, that would reduce the rule of law to lawlessness. These are hardcore, long-term, stalwart Republican judges. So I feel like maybe the tide is beginning to turn.
Yeah, I hope.
Hey, John Fugelsang here. You guys know what's happening to the country, and corporate media is not helping. But when the White House Correspondents' Dinner fires comedians, it's time we take back the mic and brutally mock them in the process. Join me and the Political Voices Network for Not the White House Correspondents' Dinner pay-per-view special on Saturday, April 26th at 9 p.m. Eastern. Not just another comedy show, it's a no-holds-barred takedown of media hypocrisy, political BS, and sanitized news, with over a dozen fearless comics and influencers bringing truth with punchlines, including Hal Sparks, Alonzo Bowden, Trey Crowder, a.k.a. the liberal redneck, Glenn Kirschner, Allison Gill, Brooklyn Dad Defiant, Dino Badala, JoJo from Jers, TV's Frank Conniff, and many more, with special guest Miss Elaine Boozler. Catch the Not the White House Correspondents' Dinner live on April 26th instead of that other thing, or stream it on demand for 2026, because that's a good number to think about. Go to www.meethook.live/not and get your ticket, because when they silence comedians, we get louder.